Hello guys. Okay, I want to go back to Act 2, Scene 5. I seem to have made a mistake in my book. If you look at Act 2, Scene 4, it should be 12 or 11-ish on Monday. Act 2, Scene 5 should be Monday. I don't know why I have Friday written there. I noticed that yesterday we were taking our notes, which means that when we started Act 3, again, that's correct, that it's late evening, early Monday. So this is all taking place so far over 2 days, okay? Span of 2 days, they've only known each other, okay? When we last left off, it was Act 3, Scene 4. Juliet and Romeo are now going to have their wedding night. So now this is happening late Monday / maybe early Tuesday, and you're going to see that there's a progression of time happening where it's going to speed up really fast during this scene. So when we last leave off, they decided they're going to have their wedding night, and this one's going to take place as they're having their wedding night. Now, it's a G-rated production, so they are not going to show anything on it. They're going to allude to it, but they would never have the two of them on stage together. Plus the fact that it's played by a company of men, so they're not going to have those romantic kind of scenes. Okay. So, Capulet's talking, and here's Paris. Remember, Paris wants to marry Juliet, and he shows up, and he's basically saying, Capulet's saying to him, you know, that Juliet is distraught over Tybalt, and he says, it's very late, she'll not come down tonight, which is kind of ironic, because he's like, no, she's up there, she's crying and crying, she's not going to leave, and she's not going to come down tonight. Well, no, she's not going to come down tonight, because she's up in her room with Romeo. Okay. And then, you know, he says, these times of woe afford no time to woo. And he says, you know, good night, just mention me to your daughter. So he's like in there, like trying to weasel his way into her life. Okay. And so she says, you know, I will, but tonight she's mute up with her heaviness. Again, some irony, because she's not thinking about Till right now. And Capulet says, I will make desperate tender of my child's love. I think she'll be ruled by me, meaning I will force her to marry you. I'm gonna just let this up a little bit. There we go. And he says, I doubt it not. Wife, before you go to bed, tell her of my son Paris's love and bid her on Wednesday next. So here he says, so he wants them to marry. Remember before he wanted them to wait, but he decides now he wants Paris to marry Juliet. So, and then he goes, well, wait, what day is this? And so she says, Monday. See, told you it was Monday. And so she said, and he goes, oh my goodness, well, Wednesday is too soon because it's almost Tuesday now. And he goes, okay, we'll have her married on Thursday. Oh, gee, Wednesday's too soon, but Thursday works? Okay, great. She'll be married, great. And then she says, we'll have half a dozen people on Thursday because we don't want to make it seem like we're having a party and celebration when Tybalt just passed away. So we're just going to get married. So we're going to put wedding on Thursday. And he says, oh, I wish Thursday were tomorrow. Creeper. Okay. And so then, okay, Thursday it'll be then. And he says, go to Juliet before you go to bed. Prepare her wife against her wedding day. And then he says, you know, it's very late and that it might be called early. So they exit. So now this is happening at the same time as Scene 4. And this is after the wedding night. All right, so after the wedding night. So Juliet says, will you be gone? It's not near day yet. It was the nightingale, not the lark. And that's bird imagery. And then she's talking about that the nightingale would be singing at night and the lark would be singing at morning / daytime. Okay. And so she's saying that's the lark that we heard. Couldn't set an alarm clock. couldn't tell Alexa to wake her up at a certain time. They have to go by the sounds of the birds. She says, nightly it sings on the pomegranate tree. Believe me, love, it was the nightingale. Okay, so here, listen carefully. 7th period. This is your question for Act 3, Scene 5 today. That's your code word to make sure that you're watching the video. You're going to type this word into Edsby and tell me the word nightingale when it says, what is the code word? 8th period, keep listening because I'm going to give you a different code word, okay? So that's the 7th code word. So again, it'll say on Edsby, what's the code word based on the video? 7th period, you're going to say nightingale. Okay. And so Romeo says it was the lark, the herald of the morn. No, it's not the nightingale. So he's saying, look, it is the lark. I have to go. Okay. And I must be gone and live or stay and die. And so she's like, no, it's the meteor, or, it's it's the sun to light the way, the pathway for your to Mantua, but it's not the sun, sorry. And he goes, so she'll stay, you don't need to go. And so he says, okay, let me be taken, let me be put to death. I'm fine with that. Of course he's fine with that. If you wanted to have it, okay, it's not the lark, it's not the sun, okay? And he says, come death and welcome, Juliet wills it so. How is my soul? Let's not talk, it's not day. Okay, so again, he's talking directly to death, so that's some personification. And then so she goes, oh, no, it is. You have to go, okay? It is the lark that sings so out of tune, straining harsh discords and unpleasant sharps, okay? And so he says, now I would have changed voices too, so blah, 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 blah. So she says, okay, it's more light and light it grows. And then the next famous line, he says, more light and light, more dark our woes. And then the nurse comes in. It says, the woman, your mother's on her way. Okay. And then she says, let window let day in and let life out. And he says, oh, farewell, one kiss and I'll descend. And then they kiss. Okay. And so she goes, oh, are you really gone? This is again that, no, you hang up. No, you hang up. Okay. And he says, my husband, my friend, that's what she says. And she says, I want to hear from you. Write me every day in the hour, from every minute. There are many days. And, it'll be a long time before I behold my Romeo. And so he says, farewell. I will, omit no opportunity. I will write to you. Okay. And he says, do you think we shall ever meet again? And he says, I doubt it not. Okay. And then she goes, oh, I have a bad feeling. I think that I feel like I will see you dead in the bottom of a tomb. That's not good, right? No. Okay. And so he goes, trust me, my love, my eyes do you too. Dry sour drinks our blood. Goodbye, goodbye. Okay. And so she says, oh, fortune, again, destiny. All men call thee fickle. If you are fickle, what do you do with him? This is renowned for her faith. Be fickle, fortune, and do not keep him long, but send him back. So she is asking destiny, asking fate, asking fortune to not keep Romeo away too long. But that's exactly what she should not be asking. She wants him to stay long. And so the longer he stays, the more time that things will work out. So he's being impatient. Okay. So 8th period, your word is fortune.
Mom, I want to stand up in my...
All right, hold on one second, baby. 8th period's code word is fortune based on the video. Do you want to show them the things you made yesterday? Okay. So they're doing these sticker arts.
This is one of them.
Yeah.
This is one.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the other one.
Excellent. Okay. I'll hang them up in a little bit.
I'm going to do some more.
Go ahead. That's a great idea. Okay. Okay, so 8th period, your code word is fortune. So you're going to enter that on Edsby under the word, what was the code word for Act 3, Scene 4 to 5? Okay. All right. So Lady Capulet comes in and goes, daughter, are you up? Okay. And so she's like, it's so late. It's so early. Why are you coming to me? And so she says, how are you? And she goes, I'm not well. And so she says, oh, you must be crying for your cousin's death. Probably because she's crying that Romeo just left. And so she goes, some grief shows much love, but much of grief shows still some want of wit. And so she goes, just let me cry for feeling such loss. And so she says, you shall feel the loss, but not the friend which you weep for. Okay. Blah, blah, I can't choose, but ever weep for the friend. So she's crying. Okay. And so she goes, well, girl, if you want to weep so much for his death, is that for the villain that lives, which slaughtered him? And so she goes, which villain? So she says, don't cry that your cousin's dead, but cry that justice hasn't been served. And that his murderer is still alive. And so she says, which one? That villain, Romeo. And so she goes, villain as he may be many miles asunder, God pardon him, I do with all my heart, and yet no man like he doth grieve my heart. So she pardons him. And so she goes, that's because he's a traitor and a murderer that lives. Keep in mind that this is an aside, so Juliet said this to herself, okay? So then she goes, oh, I wish I could reach these hands and venge my cousin's death. I would wish I could reach Romeo and I would just venge my cousin's death. So a little irony there, because she doesn't really mean it. She means she wishes she could touch Romeo again. Okay, and so she goes, don't worry about it. Weep no more. I'm going to send somebody to Mantua where that banished renegade lives, so where Romeo lives, and I will give him an unaccustomed dram. She's going to give him some poison. And so soon he'll keep Tybalt company. Well, that's a really great way to start off a relationship with your son-in-law, is by trying to poison him. And that's what she wants to do here. Okay. So, and then Juliet says, I will never be satisfied with Romeo till I behold him. And then she goes, dead. And then, she says, if you could find a man to bear poison, I will take it to Romeo. Okay. And then he'll sleep in quiet. Okay. And so then she says, oh, how my heart abhors to hear him named and cannot come to him to wreak the love I bore my cousin upon his body. And so again, she's not really meaning all that. She means, how I wish I could see Romeo better. Okay. And so she says, find the means and I'll find such a man. By now I've got joyful tidings, girl. Oh, so much better. So blurry before. And so she goes, oh yeah, I need some joy. Okay. And so she goes, well, you have a careful father child. Now, keep in mind, we saw Capulet earlier. I want to talk about him for a second. Paris came to him at the beginning of the play. He was like, no, I'm not going to I don't want you to marry my daughter yet. She's too soon of a young bud. Let's wait a couple years. Then Romeo crashes the party and Tybalt gets all angry. And Capulet's like, no, Romeo is supposed to be a good guy. Just let him be. We have seen Capulet to be a very level-headed person. Okay, that is about to change, okay? And he wants Juliet to get married so that she's not upset right now. It's kind of a Band-Aid, if you will, to patch up her life, okay? So she goes, oh, he's sorted out, to pull you from thy heaviness, has sorted out sudden day of joy. Sudden day of joy. Yes, he's going to send you to Disney. No, you're going to get married. Okay. And so she goes, oh, what is this? And she says, you're going to marry my child early next Thursday morning. Remember, this marry means really. She goes, the gallant young noble Paris, gentleman, shall happily make thee a joyful bride. So you're going to get a wedding on Thursday. And so she goes, no, he shall not make me a joyful bride. I wonder why this haste I must wed, before that he should my husband comes to woo. Tell my lord, my father, madam, I will not marry yet, and when I do, I swear it will be to Romeo, whom I hate, rather than Paris. So again, some irony here. And so she goes, well, tell him yourself, okay? And so he comes to him and he goes, oh, great, how is it? How is my conduit girl? Okay, you're still in tears. And so this is all about her crying, evermore showering. In one little body, your counterfeits of bark, a sea of wind. For your eyes, which I may call the sea, do ebb and flow with tears. So her eyes are like a sea, crying and crying and crying. Sailing in this salt flood, thy winds, thy sides, who raging when their tears, they offset them. With sudden calm will overset. A tempest-tossed body, that's a storm. Tempest is a storm. Also a famous Shakespearean play. And he says, did you tell her, wife, And so she says, yes. She gives you thanks, but I wish but this fool were married to her grave. Okay, again, irony here. Okay, she's calling her daughter out and saying she's an idiot and she's going to wind up marrying. She's going to end up dead and not married. So he goes, take me with you. This is when he loses it, very angry. Take me with you, wife. How will she not? Does she not give you us thanks? Is she not proud? Does she not count her blessed? Unworthy as she is, we have wrought so worthy a gentleman to be her bride. And so she says, no, not proud you have, but thankful you have. Proud I can't be of what I hate, but thankful for hate that is meant love. Okay, again, kind of paradoxical. Now he really loses it. How, chopped logic. What is this? Proud, and I thank you not, and yet not proud. Mistress minion, you thank me, no thankings, proud me, no prouds, but fettle your fine joints against Thursday next to go to Paris to St. Peter's Church, or, look at this, I will drag thee on a hurdle to thither, or out you green sickness carrion, out you baggage, you tallow face. Now, if you've got the translations, I want you to look at what, the insults. These are all insults that he's calling her. And his wife is like, are you crazy? And so she says, I beg of you on my knees, please hear me with patience. Okay, there's that patience again to speak a word. Now this would probably be a good time for her to say, no, sorry, I'm already married. And so he says, you young baggage, you disobedient wretch. Okay, get you to church on Thursday, or never look me in the face after. Okay, and he says, wife, we scarcely thought us blessed. So we thought we were blessed with this daughter that God has lent us. Okay, but this only child I see is one too much and has a curse. We've had a curse in having her. It's probably one of the worst things a parent could ever say. And the nurse is like trying to reason with him, right? And so he says, who do you think you are? You hold your tongue. You shut up, okay? Or you can leave with your gossip. So remember, the nurse is employed, so she's got to obey by him. And so she says, I speak no treason. Can I not speak? And so he says, peace, you mumbling fool. Utter your gravity over a gossip's bowl, or here we need it not. We don't want your opinion. And so she says, you are too hot. Now that doesn't mean, cute. It means angry. Okay. And now watch this part. He says, God's bread, it makes me mad. Day, night, hour, tide, time, work, play, alone in company. Still my care hath been to have her matched. That he's worried to have Juliet matched this whole time. And now, provide a gentleman of noble parentage, of fair demesnes, of youthful, nobly lined, stuffed, as they say, with honorable parts, proportion as one thought would wish a man, and then to have him wretched, puling fool, a whining mammet. This is all about Juliet. In her fortunes tender, to answer, I'll not wed, I cannot love, I am too young, I pray you pardon me, but you will not wed, pardon me, graze where she will, you will not house with me. So he will kick her out if she doesn't get married. That means no money, no nothing, no title. And he says, I don't jest, Thursday's near, lay your hand on my heart and be mine, I'll give you to my friend. Okay, this is, next it gets real. And you may not be. Hang, beg, starve, die in the streets, for by my soul I'll never acknowledge thee. I won't acknowledge you. You can die, you can be murdered, you could starve to death. I won't acknowledge you if you don't get married, okay? And then he leaves. And so she goes, is there no such pity in the clouds that season into the bottom of my grief? Oh, sweet mother, cast me not. Delay this marriage. So she asks her for a month, a week. And if you do not make my bridal bed in that dim monument where Tybalt lies, so delay the marriage or I'll kill myself. And she says, don't talk to me. Okay, I am done with thee. And then, so she says to the nurse, how shall this be presented? My husband is on earth and my faith in heaven. How shall this faith return again to earth? Now, this is the problem, is she can't just, I get this question every year. How come, she can't just pretend to marry Paris? Well, remember, this is a deeply religious society. And you have one husband, and she's already acted on that marriage. So she can't, and Paris expects once they're married for her to act upon it. And she cannot do that. It's adultery. And so this is more, not only, an ethical dilemma, but a moral one too, that this goes against her religion. And it has to do with, again, afterlife that she believes in. Okay. And so she says, comfort me, counsel me, let me know what I should do. Heaven should practice stratagems upon soft and so, okay. What do you say? Do you have a word of joy? Something to comfort me? Now here's where the nurse says, and you have to make a decision. Does the nurse say this to save her own job, or because she really cares about Juliet's future? Again, there's no answer to that. And so she says, you know what? Romeo is banished, and he's never going to come back to you. Okay, so she says, I think it's best you married with the county. Oh, he's a lovely gentleman. Romeo's a dishclout to him, an eagle madam. That's not what she said before, but okay. So she says, I think you should marry Paris. Okay. And then she says, I think you are happy in the second match, for it excels your first. Okay, your first is dead. Now, again, he's not really dead, but dead to her. Or 'twere as good as he were, as he's living, no use to you. And she says, do you speak from your heart? And my soul too. And Julia says, amen. What? Okay. And she goes, well, you've comforted me marvelous much. Go in and tell my lady I'm gone. I'm going to go to Father Lawrence's cell to make confession and be absolved. And she goes, okay, I will. This is done wisely. And she says, ancient damnation. Oh, now she's by herself, so she's talking to herself, so it's a soliloquy. O wicked fiend, is it more sin to wish me thus forlorn, or to dispraise my Lord? So she's like, or with the same tongue, which hath praised him with above compare so many thousand times. Go, counselor, though my bosom and henceforth shall be twain, I'll go to Friar Lawrence to know his remedy. If all else fails, myself have the power to die. So she's prepared to kill herself. Again, now this is Tuesday morning. 48 hours since they've been married, or since they've met. The play began Tuesday morning. Okay, so a couple things. Tomorrow at 11 a.m., if you are interested in joining, we're going to do a Zoom call. We can do some readings from the play. If you want to bring props and pretend to be one of the characters, that would be great. Use what you got at home. If you want to just participate and listen to the reading, that's fine. I'll also do a Q&A on Romeo and Juliet. Okay, don't forget to plug your code words into Edsby today. And I hope you have a wonderful day. If you have any questions, I will be on the Zoom call today at 11. The password is nickel, but I will also be on that Zoom call tomorrow at 11. If you can't make it, it's not the end of the world. I know your teachers have 20 million Zoom calls for you to attend. I just thought it'd be fun to see everybody's face and maybe be silly for a little bit in this crazy pandemic-filled world that we have. Please stay safe. Love you all bunches. Reach out to me if you have any questions. Message me through Edsby, and I will see you hopefully tomorrow.